सूचना प्रसारण के मंत्री वेंकैया नायडू गारू जी, dear ministers from the states who are here, Secretary I&B, officers from various states who've come representing their states, and officers of the I&B ministry and the media units that we have. While this whole discussion was going on, I realized that for governance, right from decades ago, be it in businesses, be it in various governments, be it in defense worldwide, they've been following certain concepts. Initially, it started with C2I, command, control, intelligence. Then it went to C3. They included communications in it. Then it went to C4. They included computers in it. Now it's gone to C5. What we've done today is one of that C5, collaboration. Collaboration worldwide is so extremely important that it's been made as the bedrock of governance. So thank you all for coming, and of course thank you to our ministers of Shri Venkaiah Naidu ji to think about this concept of bringing all the states together, because we are Team India. Thank you so much. Of course, what we are dealing with is another very important aspect. Out of those C5s, of course, we are dealing with communication. But the most important, which has remained constant right from many, many years, is the I, is information. And everybody in this room is responsible for information for this country. That's the kind of important role that you all are, entitled with, authorized with to deliver. Intelligence includes assimilation of information, dissemination of information, and therefore analysis of information. And we all are dealing with information. And therefore, in this whole C5I of how this country is going to run is dependent largely on the people who are sitting in this room. Now, how you work all together, the various points that came up from the ministers, I'm sure the various points that came up from some of the officers who are here from the states as well. It's like a three-legged race. I'm sure all of you have run a three-legged race. A lot of people fall in the three-legged race. And being a sportsman, I was told when I was competing in a three-legged race, I said, I need to know the secret of this three-legged race. I need to win it. And then somebody told me, you have to feel like one. You're two people, but you have to feel like one. When you feel like one, when you join that third leg, it actually becomes one leg, and that's when you run really fast. And that's how the states have to come together with the center to become one and run together. The various points that came up, of course, Assam spoke about the speakers that you put for All India Radio News, for Man Ki Baat. I think it's a wonderful initiative to reach out to a large number of people who may not be carrying a radio set with them. Andhra spoke about the health and welfare measures that you've taken for the journalists. The FTI course that you spoke of, I'll deal with it ahead. Tripura, of course, spoke about the issues. Doordarshan is yours. All India Radio is yours. Even the private channels are yours. Because you belong to you are the government. And where the government is unable to reach directly, it employs private agencies to do that. So the more you interact with these agencies, be it Doordarshan, All India Radio, or the private news channels, the more you make them your own, the more you will be able to leverage them. Meghalaya, of course, contributed with their ideas. It's a continuous process of, so some of the things that we can agree on together here is, there's a lot of work required to be done in terms of improving the system of gathering information and disseminating information. So we all agree on that. It's a continuous process. If it's a continuous process, the Doordarshan and All India Radio needs to get better. I realize that there is a disconnect. Geographically, we may be reaching out to the entire Northeast. We may be reaching out to the entire country. We are actually. But it's not a point of reaching out geographically. We have to connect with the people. And therefore, the languages which are going to be used, the kind of programs that need to be on air are extremely important. And it's an ongoing process. DD and All India Radio will continue to keep getting better in terms of connecting with the masses, with everyone. The Film Facilitation Office was one of the things that was discussed here. Now, we came up with this Film Facilitation Office about a year ago. And I'm told right now that it's already done, it's already cleared about 16 proposals that came from countries outside. It's working presently on 4 proposals. It's a great initiative, but it's right now limited to only the center. So since we are a federal system of governance, it's center and state, this is where the states can come in to support us. Largely, it's going to be the states which are actually the executing agencies for any sort of film shooting, because the lowest levels of permissions are finally granted by the states. If there's an inspector Raj that the films are troubled with, it is going to be of that municipality. So all those such things need to be controlled by the state. So the center has created an FFO. We've also created, or we are working on, a central a website. Such a website that anybody from outside can access. So the person has a central place to write to for any of the film shooting that a person has to do, any sort of equipment that the person wants to bring, for visa clearances, for making all those visas easier. Now thereafter, if the states also have a film facilitation office, which is in conjunction with our film facilitation office, and if the states also have a website which is connected to our mother website, if I can call it, then the person can easily access straight away Meghalaya and go to that particular city. So such are the things that can be made better by having such meetings more often. Not every time at the level of the ministers, but at the level of officers as well. There was a point of the community radio which was brought up by both Meghalaya and Arunachal. Now, just for your information, the FM radios are being auctioned. I mean, FM frequencies being auctioned. The last auction went at about 1,500 crores. It's getting very popular. The minister said that if you like, the minister has the privilege of giving those radios the frequency to you free of cost. Well, nearly free of cost. We'll just change the name of it. We'll call it community radio. So you don't have to go through the auctions. It's exactly the same as FM radio. It's FM. The only thing is it doesn't go to 50 kilometers, it goes to about 7 kilometer radius. You have the programs which are localized. All you have to do is apply for it. It's as simple as that. We will handhold the people applying. We have no limitation to the number of community radios that can be given. So you can have as many community radios as possible. And as a special gesture, because of this SIMCON, the ministers agreed to give us 75% subsidy as well. So like the companies that give special discounts on special occasions, you have a special occasion and you have a special discount. If you don't apply, you miss out on the 75%. So the point I'm trying to make is every month our officers get together. You can send your officers, we will sit with them, we will handhold them, we will tell them how to apply. If there's any incorrect information, we'll inform them as to how to correct that information. The idea is to give you community radios, so you're able to expand the reach of these radios and use it even better. Pondicherry made a comment on the cable televisions. Well, my officers just told me that you need to have a district monitoring or a state monitoring committee as well. So when you work as a federal structure, it's very difficult for the center to really know what is happening in the states or in the smaller towns. And that's where we depend on the states as the eyes and ears of the center. So be it the cable television where some of the unauthorized channels are playing, or be it any other violation of a Cable TV Act. If you have district monitoring committees, if you have state monitoring committees, then those violations will be limited that much. So we'll request you to put in those committees in place. I think SP and the DM is authorized to even penalize the cable television, and the penalties are very, very strict to the extent of confiscating their equipment for 10 days or more or for forever. So these are very useful tools to the state and the district. We'll request you to use them and effectively utilize them. Guidelines from the Supreme Court are there. So 3-member committee has been formed. Some of the states can form their own committees as well. Some of the states have asked us to form those, asked us to oversee their advertisements. We can do that. You all have to, states have to decide. So that's another important point. We've modified our print policy so that the advertisements are more effective. We are able to reach out to the newspapers which are actually being printed and people are actually reading them. IMC and FTII are doing a wonderful job. Let me start with that. Now, despite the limitation of resources, because we all have limitation of resources, but we have to think out of the box. And I would like to compliment here both IMC and FTII that they are thinking out of the box. We are taking courses. If we can't take brick and mortar to every state, we can take the knowledge to every state. I think times are such that students need not come to universities. We need to take the university to the student. And IMC and FTI are both doing that. They've begun to do that. So they are holding special courses in Guwahati and many other places. And wherever the states feel that we could actually help them conduct these courses, we'd request you to please write to us, and we will ensure that the IMC holds a course for the journalists in your state or even for the students in your state so that they begin their education and then they can expand it further. Same goes for the television and film students as well for the FTII. The IMC is also developing localized content which could be shared by the community radio. So one of the problems that we realized in community radio is the content which needs to go out on community radio. So IMC is trying to develop a content which can be shared by most of the community radios. So you're welcome to take part in that as well. PIB is there. Of course, you have your own public relation offices, but our PIB is there as well. Wherever you feel the national media should visit the state for any of the issues that you feel need to be addressed, PIB can very much ensure that. And a constant interaction with some of your ministries, ministers can be organized, and even within the journalists can be organized by PIB. We also take our festivals all around, film festivals, and we are planning to have, one of the mandates of the film festival is to promote local language, local culture, local content. We've been doing that for Northeast. We're going to do that for some of the other regions as well very soon. Theatre density was spoken of. Of course, film certification is within the domain of the central government, but the screening of the films is actually within the, I would say, the authority of the state. The density of the screens is far, far limited. You could expand. You could come up with a policy of a PPP, wherein you invest in terms of land, which is actually freely available to you. You could also invest in terms of giving them licenses. So make it easier for them to procure licenses and have them run the infrastructure for you. So you could go on a PPP mode as well. You could also have mobile screens available, which could go to the smaller towns and show films on a regular basis. The very large number of trucks, vans that have been converted into screens, and they're very effectively being utilized for information dissemination. We of course have a field publicity wing. Like I said, the idea is to reach out to maximum number of people, and I think the litmus test for all of us is a very simple one. When you walk on the street, you tap on a stranger's shoulder and you say, do you know about such and such? Do you know about any of the schemes of Government of India or of the state government? You can at best ask that which is the field that you are connected with, and you just ask him or her that does she or he know about any such scheme related to her sector. If the person knows, you pass the test. If the person doesn't know, you fail the test. It's a very simple test. So the idea is to reach out whether the policies of the government are good, bad, ugly. The point is, you will only come to know whether they're good, bad, or ugly if the people know about it. So I wish you all the best. Let's keep this cooperation and collaboration going. There's much to be done in this field. We would always be willing to partner with you in that three-legged race. So let's win the race. Thank you so much.